All right, welcome back to the SilmFilm Script Discussion, Season 3, Episode 7, Part 2. So we are working our way through the teaser in the frame, which has not been discussed by anybody else as yet, except for like a brief synopsis that was suggested by Marielle on the in the discussion for the Season 3 frame. Her suggestion was part of a larger story that she was trying to weave with the frame, but since changes have been made since then, I don't think that it's going to work quite that way.
Yeah, we know we want to have a wolf hunt. The question is, what do we do with that to make it relevant to what we're trying to do now?
Right. So who is making the concerning pronouncement that we're going to parallel to the Curse of Mandos? Yeah.
Yeah, the wisest person on screen for this frame thing should be Halbarad, probably.
I would imagine.
Because he's the leader of the Dunedain. He knows the most about the situation. The Sons of Elrond are, not idiots and obviously much older, but I think that they're not expressing a lot of personal wisdom right now in this frame story. So
yeah,
they're not used to they're not used to being in charge of a little brother who they're trying to keep out of danger. I mean, they have a little sister, but she didn't run around trying to kill wargs.
Right.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
SL has not previously behaved this way, whereas Halbarad has his own kid. He's grown up in a community where people reproduce more often. He's a
little bit more experienced with the babysitting issues.
Right.
Yeah. So I would think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would think Halbarad expresses some wisdom. Also, if we need a bigger picture kind of pronouncement, we need to have some tie-in to this is an unnatural winter, something's going on here. We don't need to bring up Sauron specifically yet,
right?
But someone should at least be speculating as to the meaning of this particular winter and having these wolves be in areas where there's not supposed to be wolves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's going on here? What does this mean? Who's behind it?
Could they make a reference and compare it to the fell winter of 2911 when Baranduin froze and the White War came into
That's kind of what this is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not. Okay, go on.
So it's supposed to be something that hasn't happened yet. So the fell winter didn't happen in 2911 or whenever it was supposed to happen. It's happening now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We're aware of, and we've had some issues with it as well. But it's
the reason why is that it was determined that at no other point in our story would we tell the story of the fell winter. Like, we would never have a reason to do an episode called The Fell Winter and show it all happening. So this was a way to incorporate that story into our overall storytelling without skipping it.
We also don't have to call it The Fell Winter.
Right. Well. It can be...
a bad winter.
What?
It can be a unusually bad winter.
The unusually bad winter. There doesn't sound terribly...
indeterminate fellness.
We either call it the fell winter or we don't name it, but that's what it is. This is the fell winter that we're describing.
What we could do, so early on in the season, I had the idea of having that the werewolves are being, that the wolves are being run essentially by a very old werewolf. However, I think it might be more interesting if that's just a rumor.
Okay.
We never know.
Right. We don't find out. Because I'm not sure I'm super comfortable with a werewolf surviving all the way to the third age. Like, having thought about it more, I'm not super comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Well, Sauron is the Lord of Wolves, and he's a necromancer, so I feel like if he wants to take any remaining lesser demons and cram them into warg bodies, he's
he's more than capable.
And we know that the wargs that attack the Fellowship don't leave bodies behind when they get shot.
Yeah.
So there's obviously some evil spirit stuff going on there, and we could certainly have that happening here. deal is that it would make sense that the Dunedain don't know that or don't find out. Like there's allowed to be some mystery, and we never know what was behind everything.
Right.
I mean, the word wolf is used interchangeably with warg in the Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
And then Gandalf is like wargs and werewolves, I think he says. So it's like the words are used.
The spells Gandalf uses to create fire in that scene, it's fire against the werewolves.
Yeah.
I mean, he says it in Sindarin, but he uses the Sindarin word for werewolf, not wolf.
Yes.
So he's very much aware of the fact that he is fighting some kind of supernatural wolf.
Yeah. But
creature.
I mean the words that people generally are using indicate in uncertainty just what kind of evil wolf creature they're fighting. Is it
Right.
Yeah.
So
and they were like, that was not something that ordinary that was an attack more than what an ordinary animal would do looking for food. I mean, they couldn't even they visually looked like normal animals.
Right.
that's one thing I dislike about using the word werewolf, is that people immediately think of human who transforms into a wolf, and we mean wolf inhabited by evil spirit, which is a little different. So we probably should stick to using words like warg or evil wolf rather than werewolf, just for the audience. But as long as that's what we're doing, like, we can make these creatures whatever we want.
If you ever want to distinguish between werewolves and wargs, you could call the werewolves Gower, or like Gowerweiss.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's the word that Gandalf uses. Yeah.
Now, what I'm suggesting is that in a conversation in the teaser, somebody brings up this idea that they heard that this is an ancient werewolf, from the distant past, and all that spooky stuff. And it's at this point that maybe Halbarad starts to think this might be a bit bigger than something we want young kids going on. And he may not even outright forbid it.
And then his son is like, if go talk to your mom, and the twins are like, come on, Estelle, one of us can ask you home.
Yeah.
To get away from the adults and fight dogs on their own stupidly.
Yes. I don't want to go too far down that, because I don't want to resolve that plot line just yet. Because I want to put them further into harm's way, but I'm suggesting maybe the early scene where we have the discussion where it looks like they're getting sent home, and then for the tag, the end of the episode, we have these two rivals come together to
run off together.
Then whatever. I don't like you either. I still don't like you, but let's get out of here. That kind of thing.
Right.
Next episode, the frame would be them running to goodness.
Yes, the adventures of young Aragorn and Hamilcar, which is a sentence I never thought I'd ever say.
Being chased by the sons of Elrond and.
Yeah, so let's see, and the next episode is the burning of the ships, which is also a pretty heavy episode. Yeah. So maybe it'll be good that the frame has the potential to have some lighthearted moments in it. Yeah. Because there's that summary sounds like it should end with hilarity ensues. So
whiplash. I mean, the screams of Amrod as he burns to death.
Yeah.
Followed by crazy teenage hijinks sounds like mood whiplash.
I agree. I think that anything that's funny about their adventures is going to happen at the beginning of that episode rather than at the end. If we go back to them at the end at all.
Fair.
Okay.
Yeah. And we are eventually somewhere in this frame going to kill Hamilcar.
Yes.
So I don't know how much further he survives.
Yes.
But he can be fatally wounded at some point here.
Hamilcar is going to pay the price for Estelle's. Right.
Ooh.
Yes.
And somehow he and Halbarad still become like best friends.
Right?
Uh-huh.
So we're making Halbarad be a really forgiving and wise guy. Just
So
as a comment.
is that going to be like the frame for is like them like making up going to be the frame for like the beginning of season 4 and the reconciliation of Noldor?
I like that. They're not going to do Estelle again a second time in a row, though.
Yeah, no. So season 4 will have to have a separate frame. Probably Hobbit centric, but not necessarily. It hasn't been decided yet. And I know there was at least one push for another elf frame in the east. So either Lothlorien or more likely Mirkwood, I think was being pushed for.
I hope not Lothlorien. Please, not another Lothlorien.
I know we can't afford Lothlorien again, but someone might want to go to Mirkwood. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. But if it's the Shire, then it'll be Bilbo learning about the elves, and so Bilbo's slowly learning about the difference between the Sindar and the Noldor right about the time that Thingol is learning about the kinslaying. So like Bilbo will be kind of uncovering that history for himself while Thingol learns it too. And so it'll be Noldor Sindar stuff. But that's if we do that way.
The idea of having Estelle learning the whole thing as he grows up, because naturally by the time he's 20, he has heard 16, you're not going to get to the end of the book with him still learning it. So but I mean, I guess you have to move on, but is the frame itself in chronological order within its own time frame?
That is the plan. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So the frame won't jump backwards or drastically forwards, but the frame is moving more or less chronologically through the story as well. So we will return to Estelle and Halbarad in the future. I don't know which frame it'll be in. Most likely it'll be after the Bran-Luthien stuff, when Aragorn decides to go adventuring.
In season 6, hopefully.
Yeah, well, I mean, who knows when that is. But at some point in there, it would make sense that we would have some time where Aragorn spends with the Rangers and learns how to be a Ranger of the North and befriends Halbarad. Like, their introduction here, they're not friends. They're
not even peers.
Yeah, it's a parent-son generation thing, but Halbarad recognizes that Estelle is going to be his lord someday, so it's a very different thing now. But it will.
Who this kid is, and they know that they're not supposed to mention it to him.
Yes.
Yeah. Estelle doesn't know yet that he's the Lord of the Dunedain, and Hamilcar doesn't know it either, which is why Hamilcar is so ticked off that this kid's getting special treatment.
Adults know, but they've all been.
The adults are very hush-hush.
I would say that a good portion of the adults know, but not everybody has to necessarily be privy, because the last thing you need is one person getting grabbed by orcs and giving up the information under torture.
Oh, God.
Right. So it's something, it's understood that no one's allowed to talk about it, so that only the people who were alive when Estelle was born, like those first 2 years, and that were part of like the village that he was in, only those people really know.
Right.
But I mean, isn't it common? I mean, after hundreds of years, it's common knowledge that the heirs of Isildur are
fostered in Rivendell.
But not everybody knows that Gilrain survived.
Yeah, but here's this teenage human kid being babysat by the sons of Elrond. I mean, who else?
It's one of those kind of open secrets, like the secret that Elrond has one of the Elvish rings.
Worst kept secret.
How is that a secret? Like, how is that even a secret? Clearly, everyone had to guess. Like, gee, I wonder who has one of the three. The Elrond, Galadriel. Nope, not them. Like,
they've got these time capsules through some other means.
Right.
Yeah. So those are open secrets because if you thought about it, you can figure it out, but no one ever speaks of it. It's kind of the same with nobody knows who Estelle is. No one talks about who Estelle is.
Right.
But a lot of people aren't done.
Right. If somebody were to be sitting there and figure out, oh, this kid has got to be, and then common sense to them would go, oh, nobody else is saying anything about that. Maybe I should keep my mouth shut.
You'd hope.
Right?
There's no one is going to mention it in front of no one wants like Hamilcar to know about it.
Right, because he's a young kid and he's not really ready for that kind of information.
not ready to keep his mouth shut.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
He's not. I mean, we keep calling him a young kid. He's about 20, almost.
Oh, he's not
He's-
Estelle's.
He's a little older than Estelle. I feel like 20 might be a stretch, but
Okay. Well, I mean, we talked different times, but the point is he's older than Estelle, but young enough that he's not considered like full adult in the sense that he's not married. He doesn't have his own family.
When
Right.
do the Duven consider people to be adults? Do they like go like the hobbits do and be like, you're not an adult till you're 30?
Well, Elrond pulls Estelle aside at age 20
yeah.
and says, "Let me give you the talk." So, I mean, it sounded pretty like you're an adult now, young man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always taken that to be like the equivalent.
felt he
You
had
got to
to.
imagine that if he were a normal human, that he would have been pulled aside at 16.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not sure because in the appendix it says Elrond, he returned from Errantry and Elrond saw that he came to manhood early.
Yeah.
Like he
Yeah.
was like, wow, he's only 20, but he's ready for this.
Right. That's a
Planning
good
on
point.
waiting till later.
Yeah.
Because Elrond himself, being half-elven, also matured at the rate of humans. So Elrond was an adult at age 20,
Exactly.
Right.
or 22, or 23, or like that-ish range.
Yeah.
He's
Whereas elves
like
wouldn't mature so much older.
16, human foster caring at the rate of science or whatever rate.
All right. I'll tell you what. We're about a minute away from a break anyway, so
Right.
I'm going to do that. So if you're watching us live, hang in there. We'll be right back. If you're watching us on YouTube in the future, definitely like and share the videos. If you like and want to share them. If you haven't yet, feel free to subscribe. Check out the links below for information on the SilmFilm project, Signum University, Mythgard Academy /Institute, Tolkien Professor, and Mythmoot 5 coming up June 21st through the 24th. It's going to be awesome. We'll see you there. Hopefully, maybe, I don't know. But we'll be back in a second.